Hello friends! Today in this video I want to share how as a student I found a job for myself and then managed to successfully combine that job with full-time studies. Right now it's summer, a time when students or high school graduates are looking for jobs or part-time work. That's why in this video I want to reflect on the topic of working during student years. And since this all happened to me 5 years ago, I can now look at it a bit from the outside, evaluate my past experience, and draw some conclusions about which decisions were successful and which were not so successful. The year is 2019. I'm finishing school, completing the 9th grade, and enrolling in college for full-time studies. Since I used to live in a small town, I moved to a big city. That city was Perm. Maybe some of you are from there too, let me know in the comments. I moved to Perm, started studying there, and accordingly began living on my own. And so that summer, while I was looking for an apartment to move into, submitting documents, going through the whole admissions process of that, I also realized that I didn't just want to study, but I already wanted to work, to have at least some small income of my own. And I started thinking about what options were out there. At that time, my friends also started looking for jobs. Some were just considering it while others had already found jobs and were working. And the options I saw my friends choosing didn't really appeal to me. Some of them went to work as waiters, but that didn't attract me because shifts in food service are 12 hours long. I realized that I didn't want to be on my feet working for 12 hours. Some of my friends got jobs as hotel administrators. But here I wasn't really satisfied with the salary, because when you're a waiter, at least you also get tips, so your income ends up being higher. When you're an administrator, well, the pay situation isn't great at all. Some people went to work in call centers, basically selling things over the phone. I realized that for me that would be a huge step out of my comfort zone. I was simply scared, so I didn't even consider that option. At that moment, a very clear path appeared before me. It was exactly the path that suited me perfectly. That was working as a beauty specialist. At that time, I still had no idea which specific beauty profession or beauty procedure I wanted to choose, but I knew that working as a beauty specialist really appealed to me. I liked it because I realized I would be able to set my own schedule very flexibly. And for example, on days when I have classes, I can take just one client, or maybe schedule one, at most 2 clients for myself. If I have a day off, I can book, say, 5 clients and work more. These are really great opportunities. If, for example, I had gone to work as a waitress in a restaurant, I wouldn't have been able to set such a flexible schedule and, say, work just 2 hours a day. That definitely wouldn't have worked. I was also drawn to the whole atmosphere, the fact that you get to interact with women, everyone comes in for beauty treatments, beautiful people all around. And probably most importantly, I understood that the profession of a beauty specialist is very promising. And now, having completed my training and working with clients, I'm also laying the foundation for my future. Working as a waitress, a barista, or an administrator, for example, is just a job for immediate benefit, here and now. You go to work a shift as a waitress just to get paid today, and that's it. In other words, you're not making any real investment in your future at all. The beauty industry is just a huge field. And yes, today you're a student, you're just starting out, you have only a few clients, but over time, as you gain experience and build up your client base, you can grow. And in fact, the opportunities for growth are absolutely enormous. Of course, at that time, I wasn't even thinking about things like opening beauty salons, creating cosmetic brands, building a personal brand, running a blog, and earning money from advertising, and so on and so forth. I didn't think about all that, but I just knew that it had potential, and if I want to, I can keep growing and growing. And in general, I really like the idea that your actions today also affect your results in the future. And basically, the more actions you take, the more potential you accumulate. And of course, I'm quite a freedom-loving person. I realized that I would simply feel bad, uncomfortable in a situation where someone is bossing me around. If I have a boss, and then on top of that, if I get scolded for something, all of that, I understood that I feel more comfortable when I'm responsible for myself, when I take full responsibility for my own actions. All the results I achieve are entirely my own. And I set my own schedule and basically create my own work routine. I'm my own boss and so on. I had already decided on the field I wanted to pursue. It was the beauty industry, but I still had to choose a specific profession. In other words, I needed to decide exactly what I would study. I still remember how I literally Googled and opened a website with all the possible beauty professions you could study. I read about each procedure, ruled out what definitely wasn't right for me, like those that required large investments, were too complicated, or for example required a medical degree, such as cosmetology. I immediately eliminated those. At first, I considered becoming a manicurist because I always did my own nails with regular polish. But still, I had a whole bunch of different bottles. I was constantly buying different designs, doing my own nails, and sometimes my mom's too. And overall, I enjoyed it. But in the end, I didn't choose manicures because it required too much investment. Each of those bottles costs about 1,000 rubles, and you need a whole bunch of those bottles, plus a lot of equipment. And it felt like, I compared the price of a manicure, the amount of investment, the time you need to spend mastering the proper technique, and I thought it just didn't quite add up. I feel like manicures are really undervalued here. Just think about how much nail technicians spend, how much they invest. And yet, a manicure might only cost 1,500 rubles. The technician works for a whole 2 hours. I just didn't like that. In the end, I decided to go with the lash lamination procedure. And you know what's the funniest part? Before, I didn't even know such a procedure existed. What is it anyway? But there were some aspects I liked. I started to look into it, to study it. I realized that it requires very little investment. Basically, you don't need that many materials or that much equipment. The training goes by pretty quickly. You can learn it in 1 or 2 days. How much does it cost to become a lash lamination specialist? Here are the prices for 2025. My starter kit cost me 9,600 rubles. These are the materials I personally use. Take a screenshot. We choose a budget treatment bed for 70 rubles. To this we add a mattress so our clients are comfortable, a sheet, a trolley for materials, and a ring light. The total comes to 600 rubles. To create content for social media, get a macro lens, professional video lighting, and a tripod, all of this for 80 rubles. At first you can take clients at home for 0 rubles, then rent a studio. Check prices in your city. A CRM for managing clients costs 300 rubles per month. Set aside 50 rubles for promotion and advertising, and in the end we get a total of 36,500 rubles. In my opinion, that's quite a budget-friendly amount to start your own business. What do you think, is that a lot or a little? Also, what's important is that these are quick procedures, because again, I had to combine it with my studies. I couldn't spend many hours sitting with a client. And lash lamination, as I read and as it turned out to be, takes just 1 hour at most. When you're a beginner, well, maybe an hour and a half. Looking back, I realized that I could have also trained in eyebrow shaping. But in the end, I never did. But brows are also a great procedural investment. Quick process, you can do brows in half an hour. The price is pretty good too. At that time, I also ruled out eyelash extensions because it's a complicated procedure. Beginner technicians can spend 5, 6, even 8 hours doing their first procedure. So you end up sitting with one client for 5 hours. Well, for me, that's way too much. Permanent makeup is also a really great field, a great direction, but at 16, it's just too hard to pay 100 or 200,000 rubles for basic permanent makeup training. That's why I ruled out that field as well. Another area that I didn't choose for myself, but now I actually think it's not a bad field for a student to combine with studying, is the profession of a depilation specialist. It also requires a relatively small set of materials in terms of cost. The procedure itself is fairly easy to perform, and you can definitely learn how to do it. Here, an objection might immediately come up like, damn, I'm already a student, I don't have any income. And to become a beauty specialist, you need to invest in training, materials, maybe some equipment as well. That's actually true. And that's exactly why I listed those beauty professions where the financial entry barrier is minimal. These are lash lamination specialists, brow artists, and depilation specialists. Yes, to become a salesperson at an ice cream stand, you don't need any investment. But what kind of potential do you have there? 1500 rubles for a 12-hour shift? But if you're a brow artist or a lash lamination specialist, you can earn that same 1000 or 1500 rubles from a single client in just 1 hour of work. There's also the question of where exactly to work. At first, you can even work from home, especially if you have a separate room that you can convert into your workspace, set up a couch, put in a lamp, and just receive clients at home. In the beginning, that's absolutely normal. And if you can't take clients at home or you simply don't want to, there are now plenty of co-working spaces. There are plenty of spaces for rent in beauty salons. And in fact, right now in 2025, beauty professionals have no problems finding workplaces at all, because the beauty industry is developing so rapidly here, and the beauty services market is growing so much that you can easily find a workspace in absolutely any city. Especially if you live in a city with a population of over 1 million, I simply can't believe that there aren't any workspaces for rent somewhere. That's 100% guaranteed. Even in small towns, co-working spaces are already appearing. Professionals are opening their own studios and renting out workspaces. There are absolutely no problems with this at all. It's very easy to find a workspace. The primary task you'll face is learning how to perform your procedure with high quality. If you choose brows, you need to learn how to do brows really well. If it's lash lamination, then you need to perform the lash lamination procedure with quality. And in 2019, in our city, which was, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any more or less good instructors who taught up-to-date techniques at all. So I ended up taking a course, honestly, just wherever I could. And after that, I learned everything online. Now there are a huge number of online courses, even free videos. For example, if you choose the lash lamination procedure, just watch all the videos on my YouTube channel and you already understand a lot. On my channel, there are both demonstration models, that is, how to do lash lamination in practice, and just some theoretical videos about the procedure. So there is a lot of this available now. As I already mentioned, there are plenty of online courses as well. And if, for example, you found yourself a really great instructor, someone truly renowned, whose work you like, but you realize you don't have the opportunity to, say, fly to another city or maybe even another country, then take their online course. In 2019 and 2020, that's exactly what I did. I watched and completed a huge number of online courses. And the question of whether you can learn a procedure online depends entirely on you, on how you approach the training. Now, 5 years later, I myself am an instructor, and in my online courses on eyelash lamination, there are also many women who are just starting out as beginners. Many women take my online courses from scratch, using them as a basic course. Let's talk about working in a beauty salon versus working for yourself. Which option is actually better? When you work for yourself, meaning you are an independent specialist, you are fully responsible for your income and for the number of clients you attract. And here, it's important to understand that you will have to look for clients yourself. This is an entire process in itself, and it's something you need to learn as well. But if you are students, young women, you are definitely spending a lot of time on social media yourselves. That's why the most important tool for finding clients is managing your social media, showcasing your work, and attracting a new audience. I'm sure this won't be difficult for you. Most likely, you already have some experience observing other professionals. For example, you already know what kind of content you like as a client and what you don't like. At first, you can simply take photos of your work, post them, and gradually start learning how to manage your social media as a professional. I have a separate video on my channel about how I gained 70 clients from scratch in a new city. For me, this was my experience after moving to a new place, but you can apply all the same tools to your own situation. The second option is working in a beauty salon, and I know that this option often attracts professionals because it seems like you just get hired at a salon and the salon simply brings you clients. All you have to do is work, and there you have your income. Here, it's very important to look at what kind of salon it is, because now I know there are different types of beauty salons. There are salons where essentially the owner has just set up rental spaces for professionals. you get a job at the salon, but you are still completely responsible for the number of your own clients. You attract your own clients and you simply pay rent to the salon. This option also exists if you feel that this is comfortable for you, then that's fine. But there are other situations when, in fact, the beauty salon manager doesn't just do a nice renovation and rent out spaces, but actually builds a team, trains the team, and finds clients for the professionals. But in this case, you will have to give a larger percentage to the beauty salon. So if you decide to work at a beauty salon, ask how the process of finding clients will work. In other words, who is responsible for finding clients? Is it you as the professional who finds your own clients, or does the salon attract clients for you? Speaking about myself, after working for a year as a professional on my own, I decided to try working in a salon. It was summer again, and I had a lot of free time. I went to an interview. In the end, I was hired at a beauty salon, but it was the first scenario. I simply had to find clients myself. I thought, damn, what's the point? I'm perfectly fine working for myself. Why should I give 40% of the procedure fee to the salon, which basically does nothing? So my experience working in a beauty salon wasn't exactly positive, but I can't say that I really tried to find a good salon with good management. The option I had was basically that the manager just rented out workspaces, and that was it. She was absolutely not interested in running her business. After some time, when I was already in my second or third year of college, working as a technician fully covered all my wants. I no longer took money from my parents, I bought everything for myself. Of course, I absolutely loved that. On the days when I had classes, I would see clients in the evenings. It was one client or two clients. On Saturdays, I remember I always tried to schedule clients from morning till evening. Those were great days. Such a buzz! I would always look forward to Saturdays when I had such a packed schedule, because I really enjoyed working with clients, that whole atmosphere, and of course I liked the income I was making. Because speaking of money, right after my training I set my price at 600 rubles per procedure. Then I raised my price to 800 rubles, then it was 1200 and later 1500. And when I was in college, clients would come to me at a rate of 1500 rubles per procedure for 1 hour of work. After all these years, I still believe that choosing to go into the beauty industry was absolutely the right decision for me. It was a good thing that I went right after 9th grade. I had time there to gain experience. And after some time, when I finished college, I already had solid skills and an understanding of how to attract clients. And I continued working as a specialist. I started reaching a new level, began teaching, and started running a blog. Overall, it was a very good decision. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!